Far Cry review. Two or three of us got to play Far Cry.
Yes.
I'm just going to sit back and relax and listen to these two guys talk about Far Cry, and I'm going to pretend to know what they're talking about.
Wah, wah, wah.
I've been sick all week. Give me a break.
That's true. It happens.
I'm running a fever, but I'm still on camera, and I'm sorry I'm on camera. Just deal with it.
Do you need more cowbell?
Cut away.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't ready for that. The best I got is a can of sparkling water and a brush.
Okay, and you're looking hot. Looking hot today as usual.
Well, thank you. You look hot too.
Thank you.
Must be that Miami heat.
Right? It's the GTL.
Oh shit, GTL all day.
Speaking of GTLing and changing their look up, Moabete cut his hair.
Yo! Look at that.
Yes, I did.
Not even the same man.
Got a big boy haircut.
Motherfucker, I got a bald head.
Look at him.
I even trimmed the neck beard.
You trimmed the neck beard. That's going to be a little bit easy for your green screen pull. Thank you.
Is Moabete getting laid tonight?
Oh,
find out on the next episode of Laggin Out.
That's our $15 tier on our Patreon account. All right, guys, let's get into this. Far Cry. First of all, would you play it on Xbox? Did you play it on PlayStation? Did you play it on PC? Would you guys play it on?
I played it on Xbox.
Okay.
And I was Master Race.
Okay.
PC.
What'd you guys think of the game?
Yeah, I am addicted.
Yeah, it's Far Cry. All the Far Crys, I think since 3, because I think Far Cry 2 is made by a different studio, and then 3, 4, and 5, and Primal were all made with help from Ubisoft. Far Cry 2 might have been help with Ubisoft as well. But yeah, they're basically a giant playground. They're like, here's a world. This is where you need what you eventually have to do, but now do whatever you want until then. And Far Cry 5 executed that flawlessly.
I like it because you can go do something, like you can just, like, I don't know, one night I fished for 2.5 hours. Just fishing. There was another time it was probably about an hour of hunting. You can do whatever you want.
Compared to the other Far Crys, where does this rank in your opinion?
Well, I'm going to say Far Cry 5 is the most fun I've had in a Far Cry game. The story was a bit lackluster. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not there for the story. I'm there to just kill things and try to keep resetting the outposts and see if I can't do them silently every time, because that's my favorite thing to do, is to go stealthy. And Far Cry 3 and 4 had a lot of things, I want to say, like locked right off the bat, where they forced you to hunt to get these materials to then craft like a bigger ammo pouch so you can carry more ammo with you, or a second holster so you can carry an extra gun. Far Cry 5 had all that behind a skill system, so you didn't have to hunt unless you wanted to do challenges, which unlock skill points to then unlock everything that you would have to craft in the previous Far Crys, which I liked. It made it, they did as many things as possible to keep you into the game and not just digging through menus, because I feel like that's where Primal and Far Cry 4 definitely like lost me in some parts, because I had to, at one point I needed an extra holster to carry an extra firearm, and then I was like, well, I have to go to this specific spot, look for the specific animal, hunt like 5 of them, and then I can craft what I need. This one is just, at Far Cry 5, I'm just like, well, I can go to this one prepper stash, give me 3 skill points, that's all I needed to unlock this next thing. I
have a question for you. As far as like putting the guns together, how is the balancing of the guns themselves compared to older Far Crys?
It's, let's see. It's pretty much the gunplay in 3, 4, and Far Cry 3, 4, and 5 are basically all very similar. They're almost exact same. Though the guns you have are different, of course. With some exceptions, some guns made it all the way through the series. But in Far Cry 5, they had a lot more assault rifle base, I don't remember the official name.
M4.
Kind of, yeah. If you want to do that, there's a specific name for it that people are gonna hate me because I can't remember it. Like, they all have the.
I was reading that the N4 is really good because you can modify it to like a fully auto or like a one or 3 shot bursts. I heard like people were loving that.
Yeah, it's and one thing too is Far Cry 5. You can put all the attachments you can buy right off the bat. And in Far Cry 4, they had some attachments that were locked to single player. You could not get them at all, only in multiplayer. But nobody played multiplayer really. It's not really there for multiplayer. Now, what Far Cry 5 did interesting was they didn't lock anything specifically to multiplayer, but they are pushing the arcade a little much, and I don't normally play the arcade in Far Cry 5, which, to reiterate what that is, it's basically just, you find these arcade cabinets in game, and then it's basically just sends you, like, into a menu system that then opens up the multiplayer, which is, Far Cry is known for having this very elaborate building system for their... they basically give you the tools to make your own multiplayer maps. So they never release DLCs for multiplayer maps. They just let the community build their own, which is pretty neat. But I'm really sad that it hasn't caught on like Call of Duty has. But that's just because their gunplay is not as smooth as like Call of Duty.
Halo had that as well. You can build, right? You can build sets.
Yeah, it's very similar to that actually.
Yeah. I think that's kind of cool, and you can market it as like kind of like a niche that they can do. But at the same time, I think it's kind of like a cheap way of getting around making their own levels themselves. You know, so it depends on your perspective here. So you can go to the oh great, I can build my own set, and then you could take it from the point of view of, well, let them build their own sets and their virtual sets and
here's the thing.
Their levels and that sort of thing.
That's kind of a yes and a no,
yeah.
Because they have their own levels that they've created using the editor.
Okay.
And they release, I don't know how often they said they are going to release them, but and I think they even hired a bunch of like the popular Far Cry YouTubers or content creators for Far Cry that you literally set up a YouTube channel for building maps and stuff.
Oh, really?
Very elaborate maps. And they actually, I think they flew them all out before the game was out and made them make some maps, or not really made them, but asked them to make maps when the game launched. They would already be in the arcade. So just give people out there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty it's a pretty neat thing. And it's not just like I keep saying multiplayer, but there are solo missions you can do in the arcade, and with different objectives. You can make it so you got to infiltrate a camp without killing anybody.
I'm really good at solo missions. Giggity.
Except
oh my god. Stop. We could not even a whole show.
Nope. I knew you were gonna say that too.
Deja vu.
I beat you to it, Zombie. Giggity.
At least you beat it.
Oh.
So that's kind of the background, or not really background, but my impersonations of Far Cry. And they did a lot of things good. Now, I'm going to... Zombie, have you beat the game yet?
No.
Have you cleared a province yet?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about... Because it's going either way. People aren't really liking what they did. Do you dislike the fact that once you did a certain amount of things in the game, it forced you away from what you were doing to go do a main story mission?
Well, what I was going to say with your question about being forced to go do something else, if you play what I would say on autopilot, then yes, it will force you to go somewhere else. But I was like, nah, bitch, like I'm not going to that mission. I'm going over here to the side piece.
Right.
You know? If you're gonna let the game flow on its own, then yes, it's gonna take you wherever it wants to take you.